Hello and welcome back to episode 2 of the Surreal Steve podcast. Now today we were supposed to do an episode on marijuana and I was hyping it up so much and we just can't do it today just because of a scheduling conflict, but stay tuned to the future because we will be doing that episode and it will be awesome. But today, funny enough, we're actually switching it up and we're going to do the media industry. Now, I actually have my partner in crime right here, my business partner, my good friend Eli Goldman at the Golden Standard. He's the main reason why I'm actually able to do this podcast. Really talented guy from Ithaca College. Overall, just really knows his shit, and I'm really, really grateful to have him here. But there's a lot of things we want to talk about the media industry that people may not know, or maybe just would like to hear our experience with it so far. I mean, we're 2021, and it's a whole new ball game when it comes to the media industry over the past couple of years. So today we're going to talk about where it's at, where it's going, and the personal experience that we've had with it so far, and just like our hopes and dreams on it to see where we're going. So Eli, thanks for being on the show because we couldn't do marijuana, so I appreciate you being able to do this with me.
Hey, great to be here, Steven.
All right. So let's just hop into a very basic question. Now, obviously, the industry has changed a lot with technology and everything and the amount of content. We'll get into that a little more, but let's hear a little bit about you because I know you have a little bit of a story. So do you think location really affects the kind of experience you have with the industry? Because, you know, I come from New York, upstate New York, and there's no jobs for media up there. It's all like labor jobs or blue collar. And really, if you want to make it in the media industry, I think you need to live in one of the major entertainment cities like New York City or Los Angeles or Atlanta or Chicago. Like, you need to live in a city if you're in this kind of work. And you were telling me how you drove out here and you basically set up shop out here really quick and now you're grinding. So let's just hear a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, originally I'm from Long Island, New York. My main focus is trying to do post-production and film work, so like mostly editing. So being in Long Island, I lived an hour away from New York City. And industry-wise, right now, the big areas to focus on is either New York City or Los Angeles. But being from New York my whole life, I needed to change of pace. I need to get out to LA.
Plus, I feel that, yeah.
When I came to visit here, like the vibes out here, like just positive energy everywhere. Which I guess La La Land, where you come from, like just nice. But really, when I was looking for work and I knew I wanted to come out to LA and I was looking for work in LA, you can't get work unless you're out here, you know? Like, you can't just be like, oh, I'm in New York, but I'm coming out real quick.
I'll swing out real quick.
Like, yeah, I'll be there in 3 days. Just hit me up with that work. No, it doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way at all. What's your other question? Sorry.
No, it's just like, so your location obviously matters because when it comes to job opportunity, I mean, you're an editor, right? So you could do, like, remote work, but at the same time, it's like, it's just not going to be the same kind of experience. Like, all the projects, I mean, not every project is out here in LA, guys. Don't get me wrong. Like, there are plenty of projects. Canada actually has been huge on a lot of media projects. I know a lot of companies are actually opening up production facilities in Canada right now, just because this happens to be like the new hub for content. But there are a few cities, but yeah, I mean, I'm from New York, so I feel that. You know, coming out to LA is a culture shock, to say the least, and I love it out here, and I feel like everyone's trying to be their best. And I mean, literally, like, where I live is like 5 minutes from Warner Brothers, you know? Like, this is the place to be if you're trying to be someone in the media industry, whether you're an actor, a host, an editor, a producer, a director, a writer. It doesn't matter. Like, the connections and the communities out here, I just don't think you're going to get that same experience anywhere else in the country. Now, you could go to New York City, but for me, New York City is a little too congested. And, like, we're from New York, so it's not like we haven't seen it before. You know?
Absolutely. And the city vibe is completely different. New York City vibe is very busy, very condensed, kind of dirty feel to it. But LA is a lot more open, and sunshine.
A lot more homeless people.
There's a decent amount, yeah.
It's easier to be homeless out here, to be fair. And I'm not even trying to be insensitive to that. Like, I was talking to a coworker the other day, and it's like, this is the one place in the country where, like, the weather stays the same, where, like, you know,
that's true. If you're on the streets in New York during December,
you're screwed.
Like, you're
no,
done.
That's like survival of the fittest. I mean, that's terrible. I mean, I couldn't even imagine that. But in LA, yeah, I mean, you can survive to live in a bush at night because it's not like, you know, I'm not even trying to be like an asshole. Like, I don't think you can go wrong if you want to be homeless here. I know it sounds so weird, but there's like, there's so many like food places you can go to get food. Okay, we're getting off tangent here. Now we're talking about, we're from the media industry talking about homeless people. So let's just go to the next thing. So I came out here because this is my last semester at Ithaca College, and I basically want to be a host or an actor. So this is the place to be. And I basically, all my experience at Ithaca College has led up to this moment of me coming out here. And I know the steps that it's going to take now. Let's talk a little bit about that, because I think a couple of people, have the idea like, I want to do this or I want to do that, but like, what kind of plan do you have in your position as like an editor or as like a post supervisor? Like, what do you have a plan that you're going to follow through with over these next couple of years to kind of accomplish your dream?
Absolutely. I mean, in the rarest case of scenarios, you become friends with someone who makes it big, and it's like, oh, I want you to edit my movie. And then
Yeah.
there you're in. More realistically, you start off in like a little post shop that does commercials, ads, trailers, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Then you get those 2-3 years of experience, and then you start sending your applications into bigger places. You try to get into like assistant editing position. Assistant editing, all you're doing, well, not even before you get into assistant editing, you get into file management.
Woo!
File management is you take all the video that's coming in and label it, and that's it. You label it, you give it a name, you send it off to someone who assembles it, which is just fucking heartbreaking, because you're doing all this work and you don't get to do anything creative with it. Then you move up to assistant editor. Assistant editor is you do the first cut of the film. You get everything together, you give it an idea of how it's going to flow, how it's going to transition. Then you hand that off to the actual editor of the film, which is where I want to be eventually.
Yeah.
And they're the one that's looking at the content. It's already in a timeline. They're like, this needs to be changed, this needs to be changed, this needs to be cut, it's not working.
Mm-hmm.
And then if you want to, which it's a realistic goal for me if I want to do it, you can go up to post-production supervisor, which is you're analyzing, critiquing every part of post-production. You're looking at the video, you're looking at the audio from the characters, the music, the visual effects that are going into it, and you have final say in everything with the director, which is great for me because I'm a nitpicky motherfucker. I like everything to be perfect.
You kind of have to be in your line of work. I mean, you really have to pay attention to detail. But you've had a lot of experience, even before college, and then you worked on a lot of short films at school. I know that. So you've been able to kind of accomplish a lot of real working experience in your life so far. And you're young, so you still have plenty of time. But I totally get that whole idea of you kind of have to start from the bottom to get to the top. I wish it wasn't that way in sometimes, but I was just watching a J. Cole video the other day, and he was like, this stuff doesn't happen overnight, guys. It's like, and anyone out there who's chasing your dream, like, it doesn't matter what it is. It's just going to take a lot of consistent hard work and a lot of passion for what you do. If you don't have that, you're probably not going to reach your dream. For me, it's a little different because you're the technical aspect of things. So like filing, and then it's like we all have to start somewhere. Like right now, I work for a casting company, and like I'm not even an assistant, I'm an intern. But then I would go to an assistant, and then maybe like a manager. Like it's a process. Like the military, like you gotta like rank up. It's kind of the same thing with life. Like unless, like you said, you get lucky and like you have some great friend who's like, oh, I just made it and I want you to work on this new project, which does happen sometimes. But I feel like you don't want to take shortcuts because then, if you get a shortcut, I would take the shortcut.
Of course, it's all about who you know too. Like that's a big factor.
But like for me, it's hosting and acting. So that's like another. For me, it's like, you get a connection, I'm in, because for sure I would definitely, I'm not saying like I wouldn't take the shortcut. I probably would.
Well, like back to the J. Cole video you mentioned. He's talking about the reason you don't want to go from 0 to 100 is because you're going to miss those experiences. Yeah. Which is incredibly true from my experience. Because when I was at Ithaca College, I worked with a group of guys. Last Minute Films, shout out to you guys. Last Minute Films. Still working hard in Ithaca, making projects right now.
Let's go.
But the experience of just trial and error, it gives you such perspective. Like figuring out what works, what doesn't, and then you just get to experience it together. You get to laugh at your mess ups, and overall, you don't want to miss that.
It's like you just trust the process. Like really, like I totally feel you. Like you need to learn like your mistakes, and then like learn like it's just like trial and error basically. And I feel like if you skip a little too far ahead, either you're going to get overwhelmed or you're not going to have the skill sets that prepared you for that moment. Like if you take a slow, gradual journey to the top, things are going to work out better. So let's move on a little bit. So there's so much content out there right now, as a host and actor too. It's great, especially as an editor, we want more projects to work on, but I feel like that's going to play a big role in the changing nature of the industry. Cause like, it's great as a consumer that you have all this content cause you can binge watch whatever you want. There's new shows coming out all the time. Netflix is constantly pushing money out the door to get new content. And that's great if you're a creator, but I feel like we're going to get to the quality. There's still plenty of quality shows out there that are coming out quick.
But there's also ones that are dropping, for sure.
And then I just feel like it's a little too oversaturated right now. And as a host or an actor, it's good that there's so many projects. But I'm worried about, one, like the quality of the work, and two, how it's going to change the speed and the authenticity of the kind of projects you're working on. Like I feel like it's going to be a little bit more deadliney, a little bit more pushy, and it's already like that. I mean, the industry's already crazy. I'm just worried about this. There being too much content. I know that sounds weird, but how do you feel?
I mean, for me, there's never too much content.
Yeah.
Because to have an increase in content means an increase of workers. So like, especially starting out, like I'll take crappy projects. I don't care. Just something to get my foot in the door. And once you get that foot in the door, then you can like start getting picky with the projects. You know, it's like, oh, this is a really good project. I want to work on this one. Now I have the experience from these not so great projects, so I can take that with me and prove I know what I'm doing. But I do agree that with all this content coming out, like there's such a rush to get it out that they're kind of lowering the standards of what is needed to actually get on the air. It's like Netflix is releasing some stuff. Some of it's great. I'm watching Peaky Blinders right now. Great show. But like it's the thing that you get the first 2-3 seasons are great. And then they're like, oh, you keep making
They start falling off a little
right,
bit.
they're like,
right?
Where else are we supposed to go with the show? Like, we've done what we planned to do. Now we've got to make up new stuff, but you're on a schedule. So it gets rushed. It's not as good. And then you just, like, you lose your following.
Yeah, I that's what I'm worried about is I feel like, so like if you're an industry executive, you have a couple of great shows, but then you just got some awesome new shows that are picking up steam. It's like you're going to forget about the old shows. And it's like if you work on those shows, say like they drop your show or something, like then we're losing jobs because it's all about the numbers. It's all about who's watching, how much money we're making on each episode. And Netflix has these algorithms and all these internal mechanisms that kind of like push you to watch certain things, or they literally, the mass data they use can be used for marketing and research. So it's like our own information is being used against us to like produce content that's more catered to us, which is like, it's awesome.
Right.
That's cool, but it's also like a little weird how that works out. But I guess at the end of the day, like I agree with you because it is, at the end of the day, it's more jobs. And
Absolutely.
for us, especially at our age, we want more opportunity because
Absolutely.
there's already so many professionals in this field that do amazing work. So it's very rare to like have someone retire and like there's a gap. And then you got to think that there's already either an assistant director or like an assistant to that assistant director who's trying to get that job. So it's already hard enough to like level up as it is. It takes years, or like either you're like the next Steven Spielberg or something, you know? Like
Right.
You really got to work your way from the bottom, and that's the most intimidating part. I mean, for me, I elaborated on this a little earlier, but as an actor or as a host, there's like a step that typically you'd go through. So I don't have an agent yet. I need an agent, and then I need to get a manager, and then I need to take acting classes, and then like with that kind of combination, hopefully I'll be in a better position to get farther ahead than where I am right now. But that stuff takes time, and it's like building from the bottom. Like you really got to like, this goes back to working on your skills. I mean, you're an editor, right? So like I'm a host and an actor. I try to do stuff each week that makes me better, or at least makes me work my mind in that like skill set.
Mm-hmm.
Do you work every day, right, on the kind of stuff that you're doing?
Absolutely. I have, when I was editing in Ithaca, I would do 3 to 5 projects at a time. They all have the same deadline. So I'd like work on one project a day and then get it to a point where I'm like, all right, I'm good with this. I'm gonna send it off to the director, get their notes. But while I'm waiting for those notes, I'm gonna start on this project.
Right.
Like right now, I'm working on your podcast.
Right.
But at the same time, I have a music video I'm working on. I have a wedding video I'm working on. So every day I'm working, and every time you edit, it's a chance for you to critique yourself. And that gives you a chance to grow. Like, oh, I didn't see that mistake last time. Then you go back into your old project because it's like, wow, I could have done that so much better. But you get that knowledge to bring with you into your next project so you don't make those mistakes again, which is great.
Which goes back to the J. Cole thing where it's like this shit doesn't happen overnight, where it's like in that process, it's like you're growing because you're doing a variety of different projects, first of all, and then like they all require a different creative mindset behind each project, because editing is like a puzzle piece, right?
Absolutely.
I always tell you like editing is like a puzzle and trying to figure out the best way to fit things together, and I always sucked at it because I didn't have the patience for that. Like, I just wanted to be the guy in front of the camera where I could just learn the material and then have a good time. The editor is like, you need to focus, you need to have a storyline, you need to make sure it's smooth, the lighting is good, like the edits are smooth, there's not a lot of jump cuts, like it's no joke.
Editing is like solving a puzzle that doesn't exist yet.
Yeah, you have to create it, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, and it's fascinating, and I have a lot of props for people who do it, and I've seen pictures of like feature film editors or like Marvel movie editors, and I see the Premiere like file, and I'm like, oh my God, like
Layers
it's
upon
overwhelming.
layers upon layers.
Is that what you would ideally like to do in the future, is be on that kind of level, or is there a particular kind of project that you would like to work on in your future?
My future, I would love to work on feature-length films or TV shows, like specifically like something with Netflix or HBO Go, something around there. Ideally, my two spots would either be as lead editor,
Okay.
like editor-in-chief, or post-production supervisor.
All right.
Because I don't want to really deal with all the audio files, because like they bring so much to the project.
Yeah.
But it's just so much more to handle. Like you're already focusing on the video, trying to make sure it looks beautiful, and then that's another thing I want to add. I love adding music to videos. Finding those moments where you can match up some kind of action.
The audio and the visual.
Oh my
yeah.
God, it just gets me going.
I was in editing, and I'm nowhere near Elias in a new ball game. But I took editing at college, and one of the things he was saying is like there's two different kind of ways you can edit. You can either like make the audio fit the video, or the video fit the audio.
Absolutely.
For me, is audio is like so important because I'm a heavy music guy, heavy ambience guy. I'll listen to like sad music when I want to be sad. Like I just really am receptive to sound. So anytime an editor can put those two pieces together beautifully, I'm way more involved with the piece because like sound is so important.
Absolutely, it sets the tone for the entire thing. Like even if you're watching someone doing extremely happy, but all of a sudden like Mad World starts playing in the background, like without you having a conscious decision in it, you're gonna start feeling down. Like even though it's happy, it's like
Right.
shit, what's gonna happen next? Is he gonna he's gonna fall off the cliff?
Yeah. And I think this leads to another point is if you're going into this industry, you don't need to understand how everything works, but you need to have an appreciation / respect for each position that's involved in your projects because each person brings a different skill set and a different creative value to the table. And like I've only worked on 4 short films, but I've worked on a bunch of TV shows. Well, college TV shows. I wish they were real TV shows. Well, you know what? They are real TV shows. There's real experience. But I always had an appreciation, even for the PA, like you just have some respect for your coworkers. You're all collaborating together to make some serious work. And if you can't be a professional in this industry, you can't be nice, you can't go out of your comfort zone and just make friends and make those connections and stand out, then it's going to be harder for you to really blast off unless you're like extremely talented. Like, and I think another aspect of the media industry is it's such a personal industry.
It's personal, but it's also very collaborative. It's like you were saying, like if you don't have all the people on your project fully on board, it'll drop. Like I've worked on, even though I'm an editor, like I am often on set when we're shooting. Like I'll do assistant directing sometimes, or I'll just like watch, make sure everything's going to be filmed right, so it'll come together in the edit. And we had a project where the sound guy, he just wasn't really in it, and then you lose the sound for the project and it ruins it. Or like if your grips aren't moving as fast as they can, you're going to lose time. And it's like everyone just needs to be on board. You have to have a solid team.
Same energy level. Everyone's like working together, very, very much professional. That's like the biggest word I can stress is like, doesn't matter the level of project you're working on, whether it's a student film, it's a short film, it's a little 30-second Vine. Like
it should always be your best.
Yeah. Always be your best. Always try to be your best in every moment, every opportunity that you get. And even if you're not getting paid for it, even if it's not if it's not the ideal situation, live in it and just do your best to work hard. Because work ethic is so big, and I think for us, like we're not going to accomplish our dream if we don't work hard and we don't work consistently. It's just not going to work. But let's move into another direction real quick. It's one of the last things that I want to cover. So I don't know too much about this, but just for the viewers out there, I want to let you know that there are a lot of changes coming to the media industry in terms of like tech infrastructure. I actually learned something for New Telecom Tech. Look at that, John Bollinger at the good college. But basically, 5G internet is coming out by like 2022. Now, basically, the easiest way to summarize the capabilities of 5G internet is like anywhere you are, you can download video fast. You can do anything you already do twice or 3 times the speed. Now, I'm very curious how that's going to affect the media industry. What do you think about that?
From me, from a post standpoint, it's incredible.
Ideal, right? Because you can like drop off
amazing.
files and stuff quick or upload videos quicker.
Absolutely, because if I'm working, even if like on a 10-minute project, I send the files. Say I want to send the files to a color person. I have to send them the actual timeline. I have to send them every single individual file. And then when they return it, they have to send all that back plus the coloring data.
Slows things down.
Oh my God, it's hundreds of gigabytes, you know?
Yeah.
Like I've worked on a project that we shot on 5K footage, and that's terabytes for one project.
Yeah.
So unless you're all in the same location, it just slows down the process significantly. So with increased speed and internet, it's going to make my life so much easier.
I'm happy for you from that perspective, but at the same time, this goes back to the content thing. So there's so much content already. But if you're able to access it even faster and anywhere almost, it's going to be scary because then I feel like people are going to be flying through where I'm just worried about authenticity because I know there's so many writers and there's so many people out there that are trying to make it, but let's just face the facts. Not everyone's a writer. Not everyone has great material. And I feel like the industry is going to be a little bit more forgiving or give in to people who maybe their project isn't the best idea, which could be cool if you're trying to be a creator.
I'm not necessarily sure it's going to go in that direction, though. Like, we'll definitely get an increase of not so great content, but at the same time, the people that are making great content will be able to make it even better. So I think it's like a give and take, like we're going to get even better content, but at the same time, we're going to get filled with all this crap.
I definitely agree. All right, guys, that's all the points that we wanted to cover today. It was kind of a fill-in episode because we were supposed to do the other one, but we had a nice little discussion on the media industry. If you guys have any questions at all, just leave them in the comments section below. Big shout out to Eli Goldman, Golden Standard, for helping me out with all of this and doing a great job. Tune in next week. We're going to do an episode on grief. It's going to be fantastic. Really looking forward to that. It plays a huge part of my life and the person that I'm becoming right now. And one more thing, giving a shout out to my boy Shane Renniison. He's an up-and-coming rapper. His name's Rennie. He's really doing a great job putting out music right now. Stay tuned. The next couple of seconds, you're about to see a sample of his new song. Let us know what you think. It's dropping October 26th, which is next Friday. I'm really excited. He does a great job. And once again, Eli, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Thank you for having me.
Partner in crime. All right, guys, tune in next week for grief. Peace.